What's going on, guys? Stefan, S&E's Garage. Today we're going to be replacing the upstream air-fuel ratio sensor on this 2004 Toyota Camry. Now you'll see we have an 07 Camry here and an 04 Camry here. They both have the 2.4 liter engine, and they both use an AFR, or an air-fuel ratio sensor, for their upstream sensor. So this video is going to be good for 2002 all the way up to 2009. So the reason I have the hood open on both of these is I just want to show you where the upstream air-fuel ratio sensor is, depending on the year of the car you have and the emission system you have. So this is a 2004 California spec car, but it is not a PZEV, it is a ULEV. So the upstream AFR sensor is going to be right here on the exhaust manifold. Now, if we come over here to this 2007, you'll see our upstream AFR is right here, smack dab in the center of the manifold up top. And this happens to be a PZEV, or a partial zero emissions vehicle. So the process is basically going to be exactly the same on these. You're going to need a ratchet, an oxygen sensor socket, and then maybe a tap or something to clean up those threads for where the oxygen sensor or the air fuel ratio sensor goes. I did just want to very quickly show you here exactly where the sensor lives, depending on the emissions type that you have. So we're going to shut this hood. We're done with this car. Let's show you what we got here for this. So anytime I'm working on any type of Toyota, I always try to stick with either a Denso or an NTK sensor. I found that both of them have been original equipment on these cars at one point or another. Now, the main reason that this sensor and this car is being replaced is, number one, we were throwing some codes. I'm going to go ahead and drop them down below. I don't remember exactly what they are. I have to look. And it has a surge at idle and part throttle. You can feel and what we went ahead and did is we checked for vacuum leaks. We had none. So we unplugged that air fuel ratio sensor. That connector is right here, and basically forced it into what's called open loop fueling, so it's not relying on the readings that it's getting from that AFR sensor, and the idle smoothed right out. So between that and the codes, we're going to go ahead and replace this. Because of where this sensor lives, you can see that it's sunken in with these heat shields into the exhaust manifold. You are going to need an oxygen sensor socket. This is a Blue Point. Here's the number, YA6675B. I will go ahead and drop one of these in the video description below. I'm not going to put a Blue Point because they're expensive, and unless you're a professional mechanic like myself, I purchased this when I worked in a shop, and I did use it quite a lot. You can see here, it's got the wear marks on it. So unless you're going to be doing these every day, just get the cheap one I put in the video description. It's going to be all you're going to need. But basically, the way this works is you're going to slide this here over the wire, like so, and then onto the sensor. And then you're going to take your ratchet, break the sensor loose. Once it's loose, we'll go ahead and unplug it. So off camera, I did go ahead and warm this car up a little bit. You don't want it hot, but you want to heat that exhaust manifold up just a little bit. It's going to help it expand a little bit and help you break these loose. Now, I have had to use a 1/2-inch breaker bar on these with an adapter before, so let's just see. Oh wow, holy crap, that came right out. I was not expecting that. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and unplug that connector right back here, like so. My hand's stuck. Okay, now this thing should come right out. That was unbelievable. Put the socket back on it. Make sure I turn you this way so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm just going to take this socket, put it back on, and basically work this off. Now, when you're ordering an AFR sensor for these cars, it is very important that you pay attention to the emission type, number one, and then you also want to measure this wire because it's different lengths depending on, like I showed you, where your AFR sensor lives. If it's up here obviously it's going to be a shorter wire because it needs less of a run. But you can see here's the old one. Let me go get the new one. Let's compare it. The new one does look a little bit different, but this is a Denso, so let's compare the part numbers and go from there. Like I said, I'll just show you Denso, and this, from what I can tell, looks to be the original equipment one. Okay, so like I said, here's our old one, here's our new one. You'll see they are a slightly different design, but the bodies of them externally are pretty much identical, and then the wire length is also identical because we did come out here and measure this. Now, depending on the brand of AFR or oxygen sensor you use, it's either going to come with a little packet of anti-seize, or it's going to come with a cap on it with anti-seize already applied to the threads. I like the way Denso does this. It keeps your hands clean. So we're going to go ahead, thread this in by hand, and then I like to treat these like a spark plug. If you look on the end of it here, there's just a little crush washer that seals it against the exhaust. So you don't have to kill these, you just snug them up, very similarly to how you would do a spark plug. So we got that set up there. Let's go ahead. Number one, let's untwist this wire because it just got a little twisty twirly on us when we tighten that up. But we're going to go ahead and slide our socket on here. Okay. And again, snug, that's it. And we're going to take this, come over here. We are going to plug it in. Click. We're going to take this old one, throw it out. Let's fire her up. Alright guys, we're just going to let it run for a minute. We're going to make sure that our surging problem is gone. Like I said, between the codes and the problem going away with the sensor unplugged, I was 99% sure that was my problem. Let's just let it run, check it out, see what happens. Alright guys, so this AFR sensor here fixed our surging issue on this 2004 Camry. So if you have a Camry with 2AZ FE engine in it and it has a surge and you have verified that you have no vacuum leaks, definitely take a look at that upstream oxygen sensor or AFR sensor, because that was our issue with this car. With 320,000 miles on it, this thing is now running like a Swiss watch. Now, in this case, we did not need to use this. This is basically a thread tap for an oxygen sensor. I will go ahead and leave one of these in the video description below because I have had to use one of these before. In fact, when we did our Jeep over there, I did have to use one of these. This is an invaluable tool to have in your toolbox. It'll save you a ton of money on boogering up threads for oxygen or AFR sensors. So I hope this video helped you fix your surging issue and replace the oxygen sensor in your Camry. If it did, or if you want to see more content like this on these cars, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.